Hey there, we are live. This is Live with Cami. And if you're listening to this on our podcast, it's Homeschool Success with Cami Wanis. I'm so excited that you guys are here to join me today. We're talking about whether you are a teacher or a mentor to your kids. And there's a big difference. And the difference is in the results, in what your goal is at the end of your child's education with you. So, your homeschool career and what when they're ready to leave your house and in the world, what that end goal is for you. So we're going to talk about that in just a second, but I want you to understand that mentoring is at another level, and we're going to talk about that and what that looks like. We're going to talk about which one you can decide which one you are, but I want you to think now, if you're watching this live, think, and if you're listening to this on the podcast, think about, what am I? Who am I? Am I a teacher or am I a mentor to my kids? What do you guys think the definition is of teacher versus mentor? I want you to put that in the comments, okay? Put that in the comments if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching in our Facebook group, okay? So we are live right now. I'm so excited about that. I can hopefully, let me just check real quick to make sure that I am live. Oh, this is so exciting. We are live. So I want you to put in the comments, what do you think teaching is and what do you think mentoring is? Because there is a big difference. And so I want you to think about that really, really deeply, because it depends on your results, okay? And it depends on what you want your results to be. But what are you right now? Are you a teacher or are you a mentor? So here's why this is important, because we have a lack of leaders in the world today, don't we? Oh my gosh, you guys, we so do. We have a lack of leaders. And if you've never watched me before, you guys, I am all about creating leaders. I am about helping parents raise up the next generation of leaders that go out into the world, that have great educations, that know who they are, and are passionate to go out and change the world in the way that they are supposed to do, whatever that is. And whatever it is, it's going to help the world and make it a better place for everyone. So I'm really, really excited about that. That is my mission. That is what I was put on this earth to do. That is my jam. And I am so excited about that. But here's the key: it takes mentors to bring people up in this leadership mentality and in this culture, okay? So that we can create leaders. That's why it's important. So mentoring creates leaders. Teaching creates followers or box checkers. You guys know I talk about this a lot, right? So here's teaching down here, and here's mentoring at a higher level, right? Mentoring is a higher level. So what really is the difference? I mean, honestly, what is the difference? Because it can it seems like they're intertwined a lot and really intermixed when people are talking about education and talking about raising leaders, right? Everybody says, oh, I'm mentoring my kids, I'm teaching my kids. They use it interchangeably. But we really want to create a distinction, because there is a distinction. So I'm going to define for you what those mean. But first, I want you to understand why mentoring matters. There's a great book that I encourage you to get. Let me grab it here. It is called Mentoring Matters. It's by the Life Leadership Organization, forward written by Woodward. And mentoring matters, you guys. There's a couple of quotes I just want to really pull out to your attention. And the first is that the mentoring process matters because the success or failure of the next generation depends on the quality of the mentoring received. So let me say that again, okay? Just to get it in your mind, because you really have to kind of pay attention to this and really think about it. So the mentoring process matters because the success or failure of the next generation depends on the quality of the mentoring received. That means the mentoring that you're giving to your kids. It matters. It matters. It's so important. Mentoring matters. I also want you to talk about and think about your level of relationship and how you interact with your kids, because great leaders have great mentors. That's another quote from the Mentoring Matters book. So, great leaders have great mentors. They do. You don't have a leader that never had a great mentor. They probably had many. Right. And this is something that's really important for us to consider if we want to raise leaders. If that's our end goal, is to raise leaders. And I'm not talking about like, you know, raising up everybody's a Martin Luther King Jr. or, it's just not always like that. But if they're doing what their passion is to solve a problem is in the world, if that's what they're doing in life, they're a leader. You don't have to be a world changer through large things. Leaders, great leaders, change in the way that's specific to their unique gifts and talents and passions, okay? And that is what I'm about, you guys, and it's important that we are mentors. As if we're just teachers, that's not really going to do the job of raising leaders, right? So, what I want you to think about is what your end goal is. Are you trying to raise kids that are box checkers that just go through the motions? They learn stuff. They do learn stuff, right? Just like in school we learn stuff. But what are they really doing? The bigger picture. Are we including the bigger picture? Or are we just trying to get a high school diploma and get into college? Are we just trying to put a transcript together? What is our end goal? You guys, I talk about that end goal so much. It's so important. If you don't know where you're going, if you can't ask GPS to just take you somewhere, right? You have to have a destination. So, what is that destination? That's what I help you do in the Inspiring Lifelong Learning Program. That's part of the Raising Leaders Roadmap. That is what I love to do. Help you get crystal clear on that end goal, because then, only then, can we really get you to it by putting in principles and strategies, right? The checkpoints of the Raising Leaders Roadmap that gets you there. So get that end goal straight. If you don't know how to do that, you've never thought about it before, you don't even know where to start, let's talk. Let's talk about that. This is so important. Our future, our world, our posterity. If you don't know, I didn't know what that word meant for a long time. And that actually means like our legacy, the future after us, right? The future we leave after us, the legacy. So our posterity, our children, our children's children, and our children's children's children, right? So all the way down the line, that's our posterity. What are we leaving for them? And are we doing our job? We have so much pressure on us as homeschoolers. We all the time we're thinking about, we don't want to fail our kids. We don't want them to miss out on stuff. We want them to be great people. You guys, I talk with parents every single day about their end goal and what they want for their kids. And never once have I just heard, I just want to make sure that, I just want to make sure that they, know how to play video games. Okay, I'm being sarcastic for a reason, and over exaggerating, but really, I know each and every one of you want your kids to be great lifelong learners and leaders. And you already know, if you haven't listened to previous podcasts and lives that I've done, you guys know that in order to be a leader, you have to be a lifelong learner, right? Those two go together, right? Leaders are learners, right? So we know that. But in order to get there, we have to have mentors, and we have to have great mentors. You guys, I've been mentored in every single area, not even joking, literally every single area of my life for most of my life. I've had mentors in finances, in relationships, in marriage, in parenting, in health, in business, in athletics. I was an athlete, I was a coach, and I understand in teaching as well in my profession. And I had mentors, and I knew I didn't know what I didn't know. And I knew that I needed someone to help bring me and break through my limiting beliefs and help me get to that next level. I'm already kind of talking about what a mentor is. So I want you to be thinking about whether you're doing that for your kids, breaking through limiting beliefs, bringing them, showing them like a higher picture for themselves and helping them see that and take the steps to get there, right? So that's much different from teaching. But so here's the solution. We have to become great mentors, and we can. We absolutely can, because here's the difference. Are you ready for the difference? This is the real difference. So, teaching instructs students on how to learn or how to use learning techniques to learn. So, teaching instructs students on how to use learning techniques to learn. So, when I was a teacher in public school, I would use Cornell note taking strategies or the Jane Schaefer 5 paragraph essay. I know you guys have written that and you guys know about that at some point, right? The 5 paragraph essay. Oh my gosh, right? I use those techniques to teach my kids my students how to learn, right? And that is teaching, right? Nothing bad about that. And guess what? Mentors are teachers too, because you do have to use tools and learning techniques, and your kids need to know those, right? However, mentoring is so much different. It's at a whole nother level. You do the teaching, but oh, you also help students learn. You help students learn by helping students connect themselves with the knowledge they obtain. So you connect it to a bigger picture, right? You connect them to the Cornell note taking. You connect them to the 5 paragraph essay and what it means about their life, right? What it means about their world. You help students learn, but you also help students connect themselves with the knowledge that they obtain. Okay. So what does it mean? What's the point? Right? That's mentoring. That's mentoring. If you think you might just be in teaching mode, and you think you've been just checking the boxes. You've just been going through the motions and you're just maybe you're using a whole online curriculum. Maybe you're doing a schedule that makes sure that we get every single thing and every single box checked every single day, right? I'm just making examples. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're not a mentor. But if you're just focused on box checking, then you're missing out on the bigger picture and teaching that to your kids. Okay. And if that's you, let's talk. Let's talk. Reach out to me. Send me a message. Email me, mentor@thefreedomscholar.com. You guys know how to get a hold of me. Comment below this live right now and let's get in touch, because we need to raise up the next generation of leaders. There is nothing more important, really. There is nothing more important than making sure that our next pop generation and next generation after that and next generation after that has great leaders with great education and who are great people. I'm using the word great so much, but actually what I mean is a capital G. Capital G, great. Like actually it's almost like a noun. It's so great, right? And so I want you to think about that and reach out to me, because here's an example. Okay. So Yesterday, my son and I were talking about his schedule. He's been very, very, very into getting his schedule down this year and wanting to make sure that he gets his studies in and all the things he needs to do with his Kaji Kembo practice, his martial arts, his swimming, his, piano practice, all of these things done, right? He wants to get all these things done. And he has a schedule. So he's been doing his schedule on his own. I didn't ask him to do it. It's been so great to have him take ownership of that. However, things fall off and they're continuing to fall off of the schedule every single week. They just doesn't get to them because he's into something else. So we had a conversation yesterday. He came to me and said, I would like to study this instead of studying that, which was on my schedule today. And I was like, okay, well, let's talk about this for a second because this subject has been really fallen off the radar a lot. And really honestly, I can't even remember the last time you studied. You guys, caveat about this, you cannot have this conversation unless love of learning has been high for a very long time and it's really, really high. Okay. This would be a conversation I would not have with my son even a couple of years ago or any time previous to that because his level of learning was high, but he wasn't ready yet to be challenged in a way that's taking ownership. And so he has initiated the ownership. So I'm giving him a conversation now about let's look at the schedule. So when you, there are times when you do your schedule and things fall off. But when they consistently fall off and you realize you're not doing it ever, then we have to do something intentional. You guys know I'm all about intentionality, right? We have to do something intentional, something overt to change that habit. We have to pattern interrupt, right? And so, what I'm trying to teach him, he was very upset. He didn't want to do that subject that day. He's like, but I'm really into doing this other thing and I'm on a roll and I just really want to continue. And I'm like, that's awesome. I love that. Maybe we can continue that after we pattern interrupt till we make sure that this happens. And he was really frustrated and it took us a while to get there. And I said, buddy, this is about the bigger picture here. This is about you learning how to make sure that something you know you need to do or you that needs to happen you pattern interrupt and you start to be more intentional and then you not only put it in your calendar but you make it a priority for a few you do have to regiment it. He didn't want to be so regimented and I'm like, I get that, I don't want to either, but at some point we have to put those things in there and regiment them so that we know that it gets done. And then we don't have to spend forever on it, but we can go back to our other stuff too, and that's totally fine. Again, caveat, I would not have this conversation with someone whose level of love of learning is low or who hasn't had years and years and years of a high level of love of learning, okay? So if you don't know if that's you or not, contact me and we can have this conversation because definitely this is something where he's taken ownership and he's ready for this conversation. And what happened was he was really not happy about it, but he understood the idea. And by the end of the conversation, he says, you know what? I actually realized as you were talking that you were right. I just wanted to be right. And I was like, oh my gosh. But this is a higher level of thinking. And he says, I understand that I needed to do the same thing. I needed to make it a priority. And I said, buddy, it's the same thing as when you weren't getting your Kaji Kembo, your martial arts practice done, and you had to make time for that. And you had to really like put it in a place to where after I do this every day, I do this. I do my martial arts practice. And so I said, you have to do it that way. And then when you start to get into a habit, then you can start to mix things up a bit where you know it's going to happen. And he was like, oh, I get it now. I totally get it. I said, this is a bigger success principle skill, but I'm applying it to what he's doing right now. Do you see that? I know this is something that's kind of it's a It's bigger thinking. It's a bigger skill, and we do this as parents a lot. A lot of you, awesome. If you're watching this right now, you're already a good parent, so I know that you're doing some of this stuff. And again, you have to be careful. There's a line where love of learning has to be very, very high in order for you to really have some of these challenging conversations. However, well, you can have them. They just might not be effective, right? But however, you can also have them in different ways early on when level of learning is low by being a mentor in different ways. And so I was a mentor this whole entire time for him, even when level of learning was high, but he wasn't ready to be challenged yet. Then that was it. We were having different conversations. Okay, so if you have questions about that, contact me. Let me know because this is what I want. This is what I do, you guys. This is what I do. Checkpoints there's a specific checkpoint in the Raising Leaders Roadmap that talks about being a mentor and how you can be a mentor. And I teach you how to be a great, inspiring mentor because this is so, so, so important. It really is something that you need to master if you want to create leaders. And I know you do because you're in our group and you're following the Freedom Scholar. You're following us with the Raising Leaders and you understand the message. And so I know that's in you. I know you can do it. I'm so proud of you for listening to this and watching this. This is not an easy thing to think about and self reflect on where we're at, but we can grow from here. I didn't start out that way. As you can see, I started out as a teacher in the classroom. Toward the end of my teaching career, I started mentoring more. I still had to do the teaching thing. We always have that in there, but I started mentoring more. And then now with my son, I can apply that in much greater ways. Okay. With homeschooling, it's such a beautiful thing. You have so many opportunities, you guys. This is such a beautiful, beautiful time for us to really take ownership of being great mentors so that we can raise great leaders that this world absolutely needs. I am so here to help you. This is exactly what my passion is. This is my mission. This is what I was put on this earth to do. So please reach out to me. Let's have a conversation about that and let's talk about how you can become a great mentor. I'll see you guys next week. Let me know if you have any questions, put it in the comments or send me a message directly, and I will talk to you next time. Bye bye.